BBC News with Sue Montgomery. Ukraine says Russia has launched its anticipated large-scale offensive in the east of the country. In a televised address, President Zelensky said the battle for the Donbas region had begun. Earlier, the Secretary of Ukraine's National Security Council said Russian forces had tried to break through almost the entire front line in the Donetsk, Luhansk and Kharkiv regions. Our correspondent Dan Johnson is in the western city of Lviv.
This is the renewed focus of the Russian forces in the east of the country after they pulled back from around the capital, Kyiv, about 2 weeks ago. Now, we've seen the carnage, the devastation, the loss of life and the evidence of alleged war crimes that was left in those parts of the country. But we've seen more Russian troops and heavy armour coming into the east, the Donbas, in expectation of more fighting there. And we're already seeing more intense battles around cities like Mariupol. There's been renewed shelling that has devastated residential areas in Kharkiv.
The authorities in the besieged port of Mariupol have accused Russia of using so-called bunker-busting bombs at a steel plant where the remaining resistance is concentrated. The local council said 1,000 civilians had taken refuge in underground shelters. Grant Ferret reports.
The sprawling Azovstal plant is the only part of Mariupol which Russia has yet to control. Members of the Azov regiment are holed up in a network of tunnels and bunkers. Women and children, many of them relatives of the fighters, are trapped there. Video on social media shows them crowded in a windowless underground shelter. The leader of the last Ukrainian soldiers in Mariupol has issued a video appeal for a safe route to be established to allow them to leave. But the appeal is unlikely to be heeded.
The World Bank president says the war in Ukraine has contributed to a drastic reduction in its global growth forecast for this year. David Malpass said the bank's estimate had dropped from 4.1% growth worldwide to 3.2%. Jonathan Josephs reports.
Over the course of just 3 months, the World Bank has slashed its forecast for how much the global economy will grow by nearly 1%. That's a big drop and reflects the scale of economic shock the war in Ukraine has caused. It, along with Russia, will be most affected. In surrounding countries, recession is now likely because of Central Asia's dependence on Russia and Eastern Europe's influx of refugees. Poorer countries, many of them in Africa and the Middle East, are likely to see living standards suffer.
The Israeli army says it shot down a rocket launched from the Gaza Strip, which is controlled by the militant Palestinian group Hamas. There's been no immediate claim of responsibility. It's the first such attack from Gaza in 7 months. BBC News. The South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has declared a national state of disaster over the devastating floods around the city of Durban. In a televised address, he said a massive and urgent relief effort was needed as lives were still at risk. He also gave an update on the number of deaths.
To date, a total of 443 people are known to have lost their lives in KwaZulu-Natal. And there's been a reported death also in the Eastern Cape as a result of the floods. Approximately 48 people are missing or unaccounted for in KwaZulu-Natal.
A Canadian investigative group says computer networks at the British Prime Minister's office, 10 Downing Street, and the Foreign Office have been infected with Pegasus spyware. The Citizen Lab investigators said they'd notified the British government about security breaches in 2020 and in 2021. Citizen Lab said the Foreign Office hacks were believed to be linked to operations out of the United Arab Emirates, Cyprus and Jordan. People in East Timor are heading to the polls in the second and final round of the presidential election. They're choosing between the Nobel laureate and veteran politician José Ramos Horta and the former guerrilla fighter and incumbent president Francisco Guterres. Mr. Ramos Horta won more than 46% of votes in the first round, but failed to secure the needed majority. The Manchester United footballer Cristiano Ronaldo and his partner have announced the death of their newborn baby boy, saying it's the greatest pain that any parents can feel. The Portuguese international and Georgina Rodriguez were expecting twins. In a statement on Twitter, the couple said only their baby girl survived, adding that her birth gave us the strength to live with some hope and happiness. BBC News.